I just found it interesting that basically they had the doctrine of general like simplicity, and then they had about like 2 to 3 permitted interpretations in that. If one of them was dogma, it wouldn't make sense to have.
Well, let me just rephrase the argument like this. Forget the SCOTUS. Let's just say if I'm a uniate and I affirm Palamism, which all uniates do, then how am I supposed to affirm Fourth Lateran Council?
I mean, I'm not a theologian. I wouldn't be able to know, but I mean, I would assume they could come up with a position Rome would verify or something like that.
But how could there be a position on this given the fact that the Palamite synods condemn the teaching of the Roman Church, and the Roman Church at 1274 and then at Florence condemns what Palamas teaches? So do you see what I'm saying? Like the Palamite synods condemn the Roman Catholic position, and John Bekos, the unionizer, right, the guy who's arguing for Latin Union.
Right.
So how is Palamism, and how can Palamos, Photius, and Mark of Ephesus be saints in the Roman Catholic Church now, given the fact that they were formerly condemned and they condemned each other in councils?
Well, I'm not sure about their sainthood, but I've seen different theologians who have attempted to reconcile Palamism with Catholic
Okay,
doctrine.
but whether it's reconcilable or not, were they not formerly condemned?
They were formally condemned,
Okay, so
yes.
the Roman Catholic Church changed its position on a formal condemnation of heretic after several centuries for the purpose of what? Ecumenism, for uniate, to have more uniates come back, right?
Right, it's for ecumenism, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we're just, as long as we can admit that there's like a change in the position, that it's not ultimately about that's what the reason I'm saying that is that actually explains how the Roman Catholic position isn't ultimately about the theology. It's about, you can be a uniate and reject all of this theology and do what you want to as long as you accept the Pope.
Okay. That's about all the questions I have. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, I would say check out the David Erhan video that he did with Dr. Bradshaw the other day. It was really good.
All right, cool. God bless.
Thank you. Yeah, good questions. Jordan, what's up?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Jay. I had 2 quick questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, what's up?
I was wondering 2 questions. One, Saint John Damascus, on his The Fount of Knowledge, he gives Aristotle's 10 transcendental categories. I was wondering, one, how do we know that these are like the final categories and there's not like more categories? Because some people try to deduce them imminently, I guess, versus just using Aristotle's method. I'd say probably you see this a lot in like post-Kantianism.
Yeah, I was going to say, with Kantianism, you might could deduce more of these. I'm not sure. I'm open to the possibility that there's not just 10. That's a good point.
Okay, cool. Because some people see skepticism, relativism about trying to deduce the exact categories, but right. I'll leave that for a side.
Yeah, I admit I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question.
Another question I have is that regarding the cogito, I saw your critique of it. You were debating someone and you said that it presupposed linguistic philosophy, and also you bring up the refutation, that one blog post, the refutation of idealism from Kant, where he talks about the inner and outer sense, how inner sense presupposes time determinations, which I determine my own, my own existence in. So we have to have
existing is an occurring, and occurring is a time determinate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. I guess my criticism is that how does that challenge the cogito? Because I think the most that demonstrate is that Descartes in his first and second meditation is wrong about the clear and distinct ideas thing, where how these private internalism to my own private data, or like my own mental states, right? But it doesn't, I guess, disapprove that there's still this principle of consciousness, that I still have. Even Kant believes that there is this, this principle of consciousness that I think, although he does attribute, he does
Well, hold on.
criticize.
So even if you were to restrict it to just some kind of existing consciousness, the point is that the argument doesn't demonstrate that to be the case. It's a non sequitur, because the point of the argument was to get to the most fundamental thing that doesn't rely on any other things. And so if your argument is still depending upon things like linguistic meaning, and if it's still depending upon things like grammar, and if it's still depending upon things like the ability to predicate, and if it's still depending upon things like the time determinants, then it's not a clear and distinct foundational idea.
Well, I think they just say it's like the most fundamental, just like God's most fundamental presupposition, right?
But why should I grant that? Well, but it's not the most fundamental if it's relying on time determinants.
Well, I don't think even Descartes says we can even presuppose time even there, or
wait, what?
Because
talk a little bit slower. So just say it again. Say what? I just didn't hear you. Go ahead.
That we haven't even deduced the concept of time yet.
Right. So the argument. Right. So the argument's inconsistent.
The reason I might, you might give it otherwise is that he doesn't see it as like a proposition. It's more of an exclamation, a self-referential, self-authenticating, action that's only brought about because there's something happening at all. So it's more like imminently deduced, rather than having this concept of time from the beginning, because the idea of time and space, for example,
this is just redefining time as not relating to something that occurs in beginning, middle, and end increments. I mean, that's what we mean by time. So now time is becoming just the thing that's in question, just self-recurring consciousness. That's not what time is. Nobody conceives of time as self-recurring consciousness, right? I mean,
that's not what I'm saying. Well, I'm saying there is time, and it is a part of how we reason about this.
Has he demonstrated time yet in this first proposition?
He hasn't. When we have consciousness, no, but it's only after that, right?
Okay, then it's not the starting point, because it relies on the existence of time. It doesn't matter whether he has a clear definition of time. It's just, the point is that it's relying on something else, and so it's not self-evident.
Well, I mean, what grounds can we say that Descartes presupposes the principle of time?
Because to say that thinking is an occurring, or thinking happens, an occurrence is a time determination. It is occurring now. It occurred then. It will occur. The phrase itself presupposes time determination.
Well, how do we not know this is something that's only known after we found out the justification?
Because now the words don't mean what they typically mean, because now we're having to redefine the words to rescue the principle. And so that means it's a weak move, right? I mean, do you not think the argument presupposes language?
No, because it's a thought itself, right?
The thought to have meaning is linguistic. It's translated into a linguistic proposition. So it's not just, there's no such thing as just a thought. So it's a meaningless thought. It's not. By the way, it's not just a thought. It's an actual argument. He thinks it's an argument.
Right. But
okay, so if it's an argument, it's not just a thought.
Well, for example, if it's a transcendental argument, it's kind of the
Descartes is not doing a transcendental. That's not what a transcendental argument is. Descartes not doing that.
Well, there are people who interpret his argument like that.
Yeah, but it's not, because he's a foundationalist. He's the arch foundationalist. Father Deacon, could you speak to this?
Isn't Kant a foundationalist, and he's the prime?
I'm not. We're not Kantians, dude.
Kant's not a foundationalist. Descartes is, and again, it's the same question as, first of all, Descartes' critique, because none of the things that he says are clear and distinct, are ever clear and distinct, and then it's even viciously circular. The way that he gets to clear and distinct is from non-clear and distinct ideas that basically ground that. And simply just to say thought, that it's supposed to be this clear and distinct kind of idea that doesn't depend on anything. That's one of the most ambiguous things in philosophy. Second, I'd say third, even if I granted Descartes all this stuff, it still doesn't tell me why self-referencing thought, or what philosophers in epistemology call immediacy, is a justification. Even if I granted everything, it's a stupid project. And not only that,